Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Is it the end of school uniforms? As ministers are told, traditional attire is oppressive and should be abolished to let pupils find their own style. And I think that really depends on the age. If you're talking about a sixth form, kind of 16 to 18 years of age, then maybe, yes, they should be more likely to find their own style. However, I think that should largely be out of school hours. And personally, I'm more of a fan of having a dress code as opposed to a school uniform, at least when it comes to sixth form. Before then, yeah, mainly a school uniform because you don't understand style. And as condescending perhaps as it might be, that is, I really think, the crux of the point. Bear with me here. When it comes to what you wear isn't as important as how you wear it. And I'm not saying that the sexiest thing to wear is confidence, because we all know that's a lie. But nonetheless, it is similar to that, in that you might have a really expensive Hugo Boss suit costing $1,000, but it doesn't fit properly. Whereas, you could find something from M&S or maybe H&M even, a nice suit, 3-piece, or just 2-piece then, for £100, something like that, which could last you a year if you treat it right, which is another point, and you make sure that it fits, so you actually shop around, because if you haven't got a lot of money, then your time isn't worth that much, which is I suppose, not nice way to say. You can spend more of a weekend searching for clothes that fit, and if they fit properly, they can fit well enough off the rack without you needing to get them tailored, as different shops have different styles, and therefore you will find that maybe a skinny fit works, or a slim fit works, or a regular fit works, depending on where you go, and you will actually be able to find a suit that fits well enough. And that works whether it's smart wear for men or women, especially when it comes to school children as well. When it comes to the late teenage stage, at the cusp of adulthood, they can find things that fit. So, as long as they have the attention for detail and know what they're looking for, then they can still look good in far cheaper smartwear than somebody who just gets it paid for and they don't really understand style at all. Not fashion, because that's fleeting, but style is more permanent, like a fitted suit. That they wouldn't understand that, and therefore they would both look as good as each other, but chances are the person with the fitted clothes will look better than the person who doesn't give a shit and is just trying to throw money at the problem, and therefore that would balance the playing fields. So the point of this, if you are looking to stop school uniform, universal principles, comes back to individual responsibility. Yeah, you might not like it, but what you've got to do is make the most of the situation you find yourself in. So my suggestion, at least, is stop the school uniform at sixth form, but still have a requirement, like a dress code. So, what a student can do is work a job over the summer holidays between fifth and sixth form, and with that money that they've saved up, which won't be a lot, but should be a few £100, can get them 1, if not 2, smart clothes. That's it. Or maybe one suit, if you will, and a few shirts, socks, and shoes. Why not? They should be able to get that over a summer of work, even at minimum wage. In which case, they're set then for the next term. So that would definitely work for them. But right, let's go into the article, and then we'll recap on this and go into a bit more detail as well. So the point of this is the thought of it being repressive and oppressive, of course, because they go hand in hand, is that if a student is wearing school uniform, they are being told what to do, and they are just another cog in the machine, as Operation Ivy would say. But maybe, and they are insofar as it is actually useful. Like, for example, obviously the picture they include here, in my perhaps pretentious perspective, a school student should not be wearing a hooded sweatshirt or a hoodie to school. To me, that is not appropriate wear for a classroom, because let's be honest, what you wear does actually affect how you behave, and this has been found numerous times with people working from home, and even more so with the coronavirus, that if you're wearing casual wear, lounge wear, and you're lounging about, you're not going to be working as hard as if you were to wear something smart. And that is why there are dress codes in offices as well. The point is, you wear something more professional and you feel more professional. Yes, it might feel a bit more uncomfortable to have to wear a collar and a tie, and you can feel it around your neck, but what does that mean? That you look down, or you try and stretch out your collar a bit, and you're reminded that you're wearing a suit, in which case you're going to be more professional. That is the entire point of it. And whether you like suits or not, it still has that effect. You are reminded you're wearing a suit. For some people, of course, this won't be the case, but for the vast majority, and that's what we're working with, yes, it definitely is. So with school uniforms themselves, sure, it helps to create that sense of common identity amongst students, so that can help to reduce bullying. But hey, radical thought, maybe bullying has some positive uses as well. Yeah. Point of that is the bullies are going to point out flaws that you have. So you're not going to be able to love yourself for who you are, but instead you are going to have to address your inadequacies and do something about them. Whether that is fix them or build up yourself in other aspects to be able to overshadow the inadequacies that you cannot overcome in and of themselves. School uniforms are therefore to try and help when it comes to appearance, in order to stop you being mocked for not being able to afford fancy clothes. However, that can largely be fixed by 1, a dress code, and 2, finding something that fits. That really is all there is to it. And if you say, well, I can find something that fit, but I still don't look good, okay, in that case, maybe you should come down to fixing your physique. And believe it or not, this would actually then help the academic attainment. Because what does physical fitness mean? It means better cardiovascular health. What does better cardiovascular health means? It means better oxygen throughout the body, which includes the brain. And the brain bloody loves oxygen. It can't get enough of it. The more oxygen you give to your brain, the better it is going to perform. In which case, the quicker you're going to be able to learn new knowledge, quicker you're going to be able to adapt to ever-changing circumstances, and the quicker you're going to be able to apply your knowledge, whether that be newly learned or previously learned. So yeah, being in better shape and combining that with exercise is great, not just to try and fit into uniform, but also for the academic attainment. And of course, we can't forget diet when it comes into this as well. And do you think your brain is going to work well when running on junk food, or when running on things that are ancestrally relevant, whole foods, that kind of thing? Well, of course it's going to work better when running on clean food, as Joe Rogan likens it to a fuel in a car. If you're running it on regraded old cooking oil, or if you're running it on premium fuel, there's going to be a big difference in the performance of the car. Same thing goes for your body and your brain, of what you put in depicts what you get out. And yet again, you do not need to have a lot of money to be able to eat healthy. Personally, just today, I picked up a bag of kale for 25 pence. I mean, when it comes to cheap food, if you know where to look and you've got enough time, because chances are if you're not earning as much, you've got a bit more time, then you're able to do that. You can shop around, there are options. You can find cheaper food and then you can cook it. Even if it's a kind of nabayaki style, one big hot pot, you can still manage it of pouring things in. Use some herbs and spices to create some flavour in an almost artificial way, because you haven't got the best ingredients otherwise, and you're going to end up with lovely food on a shoestring budget. And then when it comes to exercise, your body is going to be heavy enough so you can use bodyweight exercises. And then, as I said before, when it comes to what to wear, you can find stuff. It doesn't even have to be a thrift shop like a second-hand shop. It can still be one of the high street shops, but one of the cheaper ones, like Topshop, Topman, H&M, that kind of thing. It does not have to be a fancy branded Hugo Boss or Gucci suit or blouse or skirt. It doesn't have to be at all. My one exception would be to spend a little more money on shoes, because in my experience at least, and those around me, they seem to be a worthwhile investment and are cheaper in the long run if you work out price per wear instead of price for obtaining. But I'll leave them down to yourselves. And a funny percentage I find here is Lord Clansarty added he believes uniforms make it particularly easy to identify the poorest children and are not a means of levelling up. I don't quite understand that. I suppose it comes down to hand-me-downs, in which case it comes down to something that doesn't fit, which goes back to my earlier point. You don't need lots of money to find something that fits, or at least well enough. And from personal experience, this might mean just changing how you're standing in order to get your suit to fit. It really does. As in, if you find you've got a bigger belly than chest, then you'll need to stand up straight and puff your chest out more in order for it to fit. If it's vice versa, then don't do that so much, otherwise you will break your shirt. It's simple as that. You can literally change your stance in order to find things that work. And if your thighs are too big, size up your trousers and wear a belt. It's very straightforward. And maybe, here's a radical thought, if children are being bullied for not having good clothes, it's because they can't figure out how to wear them, even though all this information is readily available online. How do the rest of us learn it? We learn it online, because we want to do something about it instead of just complaining about a problem. So yeah, maybe bullying is good because it teaches you that if you ignore a problem, it's only going to get worse. And yet, you actually have the power to fix that problem. And you can do. And maybe, just maybe, the things that you're being bullied about are things that are worth improving. Yeah. I understand that the bully is going to have their own home issues and is going to have their own projection that they're casting onto you, but there is going to be a semblance of truth in there. And if you decide, yeah, this is bad enough that I wanted to stop, and therefore I'm going to fix it, you will find life is better afterwards. Because bullies are not the only people in life, and you will meet new people. So if you take on board what the bullies are saying, and actually bloody do something about it instead of just complain and cry, then when you meet new people, you meet strangers, they will see the new you and think, wow, this person is great. And why is that? Because you listened to what the bully said and did something about it. So yeah, maybe too much support for bullies here than normal, but nonetheless, case still stands. But statistically, right, over 90% of schools in England insist on school uniforms. However, only 67%, so 2/3, of parents are in favour of school uniforms. And to me, this just seems like parents caving to their children's desires because they can't be bothered to parent and tell their children what is best for them. But maybe that's just my own personal bias speaking. But again, if you're not going to bother with school uniforms, then do bother with dress codes. Hoodies or hooded sweatshirts are not acceptable items of clothing to wear to a classroom, for reasons detailed earlier in how you feel depending on what you're wearing. That is not going to work. So yeah, let this be a lesson then for all students as well, that if you want to look good, you have to put in the effort. That goes into having a summer job or even just delivering newspapers. Save up for you can afford suits. That's what I did as well. That you can work and earn in order to buy worthwhile clothes. You can do the research in order to know what fits. And if you wish to look into style, whether that be peaked lapels or double-breasted jackets or double monk-strap boots, whatever it might be, then by all means do look into that. But you just essentially need to know what fits. And if you want to look extra good in a fitted suit, actually exercise. And I guarantee you've got an extra hour a day. And that could even be just getting up earlier. Because let's be honest, getting up an hour earlier is worth a lot more than getting to sleep an hour later. How much more do you do in the morning compared to how much you do in the evening? The morning is getting ready for the day and being psyched up, and the evening is relaxing from the day and shutting down. So this doesn't just apply to students, but it applies to everybody else. I understand that getting up earlier is a cliche, but it is a cliche for a reason. You do actually get more done in the morning. You are freer from distractions, and you've actually got natural light, sunlight, vitamin D, ultraviolet rays, the things that help wake you up and motivate you for the day, even in a cloudy city like Manchester. But hey, do let me know down below. Do you think that school uniforms should be mandatory, and if so, up to what age? And what should the alternatives be? Should there be a dress code, or should it just be go for anything so that the teenagers can find their own style? Because teenagers definitely know what they're doing when they're adolescent. I think a bit more guidance is necessary. But either way, let me know down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, until next time, have a good one.